Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Follow everyone. Hare Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Everyone. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. One, two, down, down, up, up, down, down. Sideways. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Do it the same. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad, Paramahansa, Pariparajakacharya Satarasata Srimati His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupad, Paramahansa, Pariparajakacharya Satarasata Srimati His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaja Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki. Nama Charishal Harirastakura Ki. Premsika Husi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki. Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki. Navadvipa Mayapurudam Ki. Gangamai Ki. Jnanamai Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Tulsi Devi Ki. Hari Naam Sankirtan Ki. Brihat Mridanga Ki. Samabheda Bhakta Brindaki. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. Glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. Glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. Glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Paracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Paschachari Shatarine. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Okay. So I guess I'll introduce myself. My name is Bhakti Marga Swami, and I'm from Canada. Do we need to translate? Not necessary. Everybody knows English? Okay. So we would ask if you to sit nice, straight and tall. We'll do a little bit of yoga. Okay, so now what you're going to do is I want you to look very sad. Glum. Now I want you to take your hands up in the air, put them above the head. Now make the two palms come down and hit your forehead. Now let the thumbs slide off like a ski slope off your nose and have them land on your lips. Now you bring out these two hands and you stretch your face like this and you end up being like this the rest of the day. Facial yoga. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So today we are going to talk a little bit about parikrama, pilgrimage. That's the English term for parikrama. And we will start off by just showing 5 minutes of a documentary. So you can position yourselves. We did have it tilted a little bit. Can you see okay, or is there a big glare? Can everybody see the screen okay? You have to push it back a little bit. It's just that everybody came a little too close. And while they're adjusting, I need everybody's smiling face, because I'm going to take a picture. All right. Okay, so I need everyone to really smile it up. I'm missing a... No. You can't do this because you block everyone's face, right? Okay. I'll have to move back a little bit. Okay, so what you have to do is don't go Haribol because and you don't say paneer and don't say cheese. What you do is you say Krishna. You say like somebody from Spain would say, the Krishna. Okay, sure. And then the natural smile will come. Okay, everybody ready? Ready for this? Okay. It's too bad, I need you guys to... Why don't you just lean on each other a little bit? Just lean on each other. Yeah. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. Who you look sad. Okay, one more time. 1, 2, 3, go. All right. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to see, are you ready to go? Just show 5 minutes of a documentary. It's called The Walking Monk. The filmmaker is Michael Osh. He's from Canada, and he also walked across Canada also. I did it 4 times. He did it once, 1.5 times actually. And so let's go for it. And I hope everyone can see okay. Let's start. Technical things I'm not good at. So, Hare Krishna. Send the vibrations. Okay, so if they're, let them work on it. Okay. Give us good volume. Let's see if... Oh, these are the individual slides. This is not the time. So it has to, you would have to have it tested first. Okay. Okay. Forget it. We're not going to use it. Okay, it's not ready. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so sometimes people, they ask, why did I get into walking long distances? It was 1995, and the next year, so I see your eyes keep going there, just forget it, okay? We're not going to show it. I don't want all that screeching and all. It's not going to work out, okay? We're wasting time, and I have to be at the next meeting. Okay. You can have the slides ready. You can have that ready. That doesn't make any noise. Okay, no more disturbance from this end. Please don't look this way. Look at me. Okay, thank you. And don't forget the smile. Okay, so it was 1995, and many devotees all over how many people were born in 1995? Were any of you born yet at that time? How many people were born before 95? They're ancient. And everyone else was born after 95? Okay. All right. Okay, so in 96, all over the ISKCON world, devotees were preparing to do major programs for Prabhupada's centenary. Had Prabhupada lived, he would be 100 years old. So devotees were celebrating that. And I was thinking, what am I going to do in 1996? Let me do something different. And 95 was a very difficult year for me, not spiritually, but in other ways. And one astrologer said, you're entering into your Rahu and Ketu period. The dark planets are influencing you. So then I decided I should do something a little different than what I was doing. I was involved in administration in Toronto, Canada, a very vibrant community where it was time to do something different. So one day I was walking in the nighttime. It was about 1:30 a.m. in a valley. It was all dark, and it was winter time. And I saw a skunk. You know what a skunk is? It's like a little bit like a cat, and it's all black, and it has white stripes on it with a bushy tail. And the stripes look like the tilak mark on his forehead. And these skunks give a spray that if you get close to them. So according to native tradition, if you see a skunk represents something good, auspicious, strength. So after I saw that skunk, it just came to my mind that I want to do something for Prabhupada, and I'm walking every day in this little valley, And yes, my head lit up. And I thought, I'm going to walk across Canada on behalf of Prabhupada. I'm going to do what Swamis and monks have done traditionally for thousands of years, especially in India. The Buddhists do it, the Hindus do it, the Christians do it, the native people of the Americas do it, the Australians, Aboriginal people, they go on walkabouts, and I thought, I will do it. And before the invention of the automobile, everyone walked. Now we are condemned with something called the automobile. The car kills 1.25 million people every year on the planet. And millions of people are injured. They live, but they're injured because of the car. The car is not our friend, it's our enemy. Hare Krishna. So I'll just give you another little story about this. This is after I did most of my walks. I met Ambarish. Ambarish is Alfred Rush Ford. He's a really wonderful devotee. He's a great-grandson of Henry Ford. And I was with him in Houston, and I said once, Ambarish, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but I don't mean to offend you, but I think the automobile is a big problem. And I told him I don't like automobiles. They've created so much pollution, they've killed so many people, they create pollution. Yeah, it's just so much noise pollution is created by them, and so I don't like cars. And you know what he said? He said, don't worry about it, Maharaj. I don't like them either. So anyways, I decided for 1996, I would walk across Canada from the west coast to the east coast. And that would be 8,000 kilometers, 8,000, just to give a round figure. So some people thought, you're crazy. And I even had one godbrother says, oh, you need walkie-talkies. And you need a Winnebago. You need like a big, like a house car, you know? And like one of those mobile, vans. And I said, no, that's not what I had in mind. I want to do it a little bit like the organic way. I want to do it like the way the sannyasis have done it before. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and so many persons, Shankaracharya, the list goes on, Ramanuja, everybody they all walked from one place to another, long distances. And it would then give me a chance to meet people. It would give me a chance to have some speaking engagements. It would be a good workout because in the temple there's always rich food. So I thought, let me eat more simple, right? And I would also have an opportunity to meet with the media, television, radio, newspaper, And it would also give me the chance to walk to the different temples that we have. Instead of flying, walk, So I developed some little slogans that I thought would be catchy phrases for the media, such as more walking, less squawking. Squawking means arguing people. More walking, less squawking. And also, when you walk, you rock. So I started on April the 12th, 1996 on the West Coast, where there's beautiful mountains. And I was looking for some affirmations. I was looking for, is Krishna, does he really want me to do this? So the first sign of, let's say, yes, green light coming from God, was that it was a nice sunny day. And then there was a brahmachari traveling group. They were there at the start, called 0 Miles Monument, 0 miles. And they were having a kirtan. So I thought that was good, a good sign. Then we started walking. Oh yeah, and the newspaper came, local newspaper came. And they did a story. We got on the front page with the devotees chanting, me walking. So that was good. Then the devotees were following me, were having kirtan. We started the walk. And there was a lady, Jehovah's Witness. Are you familiar with them? It's a Christian group. And they stand on the street with their magazine, Watchtower it's called. And I said to the lady, I'm walking across Canada, the whole country. And I don't think she heard what I said. She said, well, yeah. So I took that, well, yeah, to be a good omen, you know. And then one of the devotees sort of tapped on my shoulder like this, put that. And so there was a van, like a moving company. They take furniture from one place to another. And the name of the company was Moving Monk. So I thought that's a real good sign. One more time. So then after a few blocks of walking and of the chanting party, I was now on my own. And I had a support person. We used a 79 Dodge van, and it was not in good shape. But, beggars cannot be choosers. So I had a support man, and I had a support van. And what more can you want? Thank you, Krishna Hari Bol. So I started walking. The sun went down. The fog set in. The rain came. The hail came. You know what hail is, right? And then the sun came, and then a rainbow came at the end of the day. And I thought, Haribol! And Prabhupada gave me the name Bhakti Marga. So I often wondered for 20 years or so, why did he give me that name? And then on the first day of my walking, I did 47 kilometers walking. Near the end of that, I thought, yay! Now I understand. He gave me that name because I'm doing my bhakti, my devotion, on the Marg. Yeah. So on a normal day, people pull over and they stop. Sometimes it's the police. In Canada, we have the most famous police force in the world called the Mounties, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So one Mountie pulled over and he said, can I see your ID, please? I said, okay. And I gave him my passport. And so he went to his car and then he checked on the computer to see about my history. So it took a long time, and then finally he came back to where I was standing on the side of the road, walking, right? And he said, okay, everything's okay, here you go. He said, excuse me, officer, is there a problem here? He said, no problem. But what you have to understand, you're in a town called Chilliwack. In Chilliwack, we have a penitentiary. They're prisoners. Everyone's dressed in orange. And you're dressed in orange. And someone called thinking you're an escapee. So that's all. So then what happened was, I went further down into the, it was springtime. Now I'm going into the depth of the mountains. And now I'm entering into to the winter again, like where there's snow everywhere, right? But we came to one place called Rogers Pass, where the mountains are very dense. And they found it hard to get a road through there and the railway line, but they managed. They had to dynamite through the mountains, That's 100 years ago. So my support person, his name was David. And David, I found out, had a criminal record. So, okay, whatever the case. But he's a devotee of sorts. So then there was a break and entry into a local store. So it was quiet. Tourists hadn't come out yet. And so this Mountie came over and checked him out because our van didn't look very good and all that. It had scrapes on the side and different colored chocolate brown. So then the officer asked Dave what's going on. He frisked him even. So he cleared him. He said, so what are you doing here? And David said, well, I'm trying to help the monk. I'm supporting the monk. Oh, you mean that guy on the other side of the mountain valley? I said, yeah. Well, what's he doing? I said, he's walking across Canada. And what's he walking across Canada for? I said, he's walking across Canada for the spiritual healing of the nation. Okay. And so then the officer goes, is it working? So then Dave says, sure. Can't you feel it in the atmosphere? And the officer goes, oh, drives off. So then I entered into a new province. It's called Alberta. That's where they pull oil out of the ground. And it's a rich province. So there's a gentleman, he's Southeast Asian. His name was Bali. He's from India background. So he's a cab driver, and he pulls over and said, okay, I see you, Prabhu. You're wearing God's clothes. I will take you anywhere, wherever you want to go. I said, I'm going 8,000 miles down the road to Newfoundland. Oh, I cannot take you. Yeah. So that's Alberta. Then I come to a place called Saskatchewan. And Saskatchewan, it's very flat. Flat like a pancake, like a dosa, And it's easy to walk through there. Now spring has caught on, and the weather's getting just a little bit better. And I'm chanting 64 rounds a day, And so somebody came, it's very quiet, and he just showed up. He just came right next to me, and it was a 65-year-old man who was on his bicycle. He said, he stopped, and we started talking, because that's the idea. You make friends. I told one newspaper guy, journalist, so why are you doing this? I'm doing some friend raising. I'm not doing any fundraising. Hey, I like that. I'm going to use that in my story. So this older gentleman, the senior citizen, he said, well, you're a monk, so you can do these kind of things, walk across the country. And I just retired, so I'm cycling across. We can do these kind of things. And I explained to him, when you get older, you're supposed to downscale all of your things, according to our tradition. And so, he liked that very much. So I'm going to tell you a bear story now. I was walking with a brahmachari from Cuba. This is my third walk across Canada. And we're both wearing the same clothes. So a biker comes in. Have you ever seen the bikers, the types from America and Canada? Hells Angels, they're really tough. So one guy comes and he stops and he has a black leather jacket and, pulls over with his helmet, takes it off. And then he comes, okay, listen, you guys, I'm warning you. He says, there's a bear back there. And he was running after me, and he kept right up with my speed, and he could have killed me. So I'm warning you guys, there's a bear up ahead. And then he goes, brr. We didn't have to worry about the biker at all. So we are just chanting japa along the way, and then we see a bear in the ditch next to us. And the bear is eating wild strawberries. So I decided to stand there and kind of like look down at the bear. And the devotee from Cuba, he'd never seen a bear in his life, not even at the zoo. So he says, Maharaj, let's go. No, I think it's okay. Let's just wait here for a second. See what happens. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And so then the bear goes, like that. And then we started going. So we found out by talking to some bridge repair people that were nearby that bear was a mother bear, and she had 3 cubs. She was here, her 3 cubs are here, and we were in between. So naturally she gets defensive. But she didn't chase us. I have a few other bear stories, but I won't bore you with them, okay? Now, I'm getting into the middle of the country. It's summertime. Now in Canada, we have so many lakes and so many rivers everywhere. Just in Ontario alone, where I live, there's 400,000 lakes. 400,000. Big and small. Some of the biggest lakes in the world. So anyways, you're walking and it's hot, And David, who's my support person, once in a while he checks to see if I'm still alive. And now it's hot. So you have a lake. So what are you going to do with it? You go inside. You swim. Walking and swimming and chanting. These are the 3 things that make life complete and perfect. So it is so nice, to swim in these really clean lakes, And so that's the experience. And, sometimes, I was in one lake and a bloodsucker, a leech, got on my foot. You've seen them before? You've had those experiences before? No? They don't really hurt you. They just take your blood out. That's all. So you have to pour salt on them, and then they curl up and they go, or you just pull them off, and then it's okay. It's no problem. So wildlife, bears, grizzly bears, moose. Like on the East Coast, we have a lot of moose, especially the bulls. They have these big antlers, And I was walking down the road, and it was a sunny, it was the fog, and the sun was trying to break its way through. And I saw a moose, and he was in a swamp, and he was drinking, and he was eating the leaves, right? And I could see water dripping from his whiskers. Bloop, bloop. I was able to get really close. So what he did, he noticed me. He looks at me, and he's thinking, human being, no good. So then he turns around real slow with his big antlers and then chomps away into the fog. And of course, I'm just thinking, wow. I got so close to a big moose, and they're huge. Like Donald Trump, he usually says, huge. with his haircut. Okay, huge. Moose are huge. Okay, so let's talk about another police officer. I felt very proud of myself one day. I was in Ontario, and I'm walking early in the morning, and a police officer pulls over and said, "So, what's going on?" And what I did was I took a line from the Gandhi movie. Do you know the Gandhi movie? It was in 1985 or something like that, with Ben Kingsley playing the part of Gandhi. Has anybody seen it before? It's a well-done movie, Gandhi. So in the movie, there's a big crowd, everybody's around Gandhi. And then there's a British officer standing up. So what's going on? And Gandhi says, "I'm an Indian citizen walking in my own country." So I took that line and I flavored it up a little bit. And I simply said, "Well, I'm a Canadian citizen and I'm walking in my country." So then I offered a little leaflet, like a little brochure that I gave to the officer. So he's reading it to see has anybody checked you out? And I was wondering, check me out? And I asked him, "What do you mean, like ID, identification?" He said, "Yeah, anybody checked you out?" I said, "Well, not really on this walk. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just walking in my own country." So the tone was a little bit maybe odd, a little bit cold. I think he started it. And then he said, "Okay, so no one checked you out?" He says, "No, officer, no one checked me out. I'm doing okay. Thank you very much. Have a nice day." So he drives off. Then he comes back 10 minutes later, and I don't know why he said this. He asked once again, "Are you sure no one checked you out?" And at that point, I got very angry. You know, I'm supposed to be a Swamiji and not get angry, control my senses. I said, "No, officer, no one checked me out because I'm not doing anything wrong. But I'll tell you the people you should be checking out. It's all those people in those cars. They're killing the moose, they're killing the bears, they're killing each other, they're creating noise pollution, air pollution. Those are the people you should be checking out." And I just turned around and I walked away, and I felt really good. Yeah, it was great. Now, once in a while, it happens that, like, every day, somebody pulls over. I said, "Would you like a ride?" Because they think that you're interesting to look at. And so, says, "No, I'm not taking any rides because I'm walking to the other side of the country." Says, "No way." I said, "Yeah, I'm walking across the country." "Well, what for?" "Well, it's for the spiritual healing of the nation, you know. It's to encourage people to get back to basics, back to walking and things." "Really?" "Well," and then they usually give some water or some donation, things like that. And I have a tendency to, especially in the quiet roads, to wave to people. So it was Sunday morning on Highway 2 in southern Ontario on a summer day, and I waved like this, and it was a woman. So she turned around and came back. And she opened the door to her car, and out came her dog behind her. And she had sort of a low-cut thing here, low-cut dress. And she had come from a party, you know. So she goes, "What are you doing?" And I'm not exaggerating. I said, "Well, I'm a monk. I'm a Hare Krishna monk. And I'm from a tradition that has roots from India. And I'm walking across Canada. This is one of the things that monks do." I said, "Oh, I know a real nice place. And it's just down the river. You can see the sun coming up. I can take you there." I said, "Well, I can't leave the road, ma'am. because my support person is expecting me to be here. And so you could see she was starting to lose interest. Ugh. And at the same time, while all this was going on, her radio was playing. And there was a song, a famous song, a classic song by Johnny Cash. And it's called Walk the Line. Because you're mine, I walk the line. That's how it goes. So it was like God saying, keep walking, Swamiji, keep walking, keep walking. So sometimes that happens. People stop and they're desperate. And you just want to think that, well, I hope she finds who she's looking for, and I hope she finds Krishna one day. And that's her real love, So like that, you happen. And on the topic of love, I was walking one day, and it was in the distance. I saw a bird. It's called a heron, a great blue heron, and it has an amazing wingspan like this. It's beautiful. I was just going like this in the air, like that, and it left something behind on the side of the road. So when I got closer and closer, what is that? There's a little pile of something. And then as I got closer and closer, I said, oh, it's a bird. Oh, it's another heron. Says, oh, and it was killed on the road by a car. And so what happened was the mate of that bird had come to mourn, to have grievance over it, So, and that's why he took off. So I was just thinking, of course, that, affection, love is very deep. It's in all forms of life. And, of course, all forms of life also meet with tragedy. So there's a lot of lessons to learn on the road, many, many lessons. We have this bird in Canada. It's called the loon. And it makes this amazing, mystical cry. It's amazing. And when I say amazing, it is really amazing. So I'm going to let you hear it. Is that okay? You don't mind? Okay. So when you're walking, you meet with all kinds of interesting things. The call of the loon. The sound of the loon. Maybe it won't work. The sound of the loon. Anyways, you guys can check it on your phones a little later on. Just look up loon, L-O-O-N, and listen to it, and it's like, wow. It makes you. So, what else? I'd say that sometimes people ask, I guess, like one man, when I was walking in America, in a park, said, I guess you see God all the time, don't you, when you're walking? And so my answer is, yes, I see God. I see God in the form of the elements. And chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita is about the opulence of the Absolute. So now when you're walking and you're in nature all the time, and you start to see, oh yes, Krishna's there in the sun, he's there in the moon, he's there in the sound of the birds, he's there in people, he's in the wind, and in the snow, and in the mosquitoes. He's everywhere. And you have to tough it out. You have to go through it all. You can't hide it when you're walking. Say, I do 8 hours a day, 35 to 40 kilometers a day. And you've just got to go through it and tough it out. If it's raining, it's raining, you got to go through it. If it's snowing, it's snowing, you go through it. Or if it's hot, a hot day, you just got to go through it. Once in a while you have to stop, pull over, and wait till it gets severe. Like when it's hot weather, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. So you start to see Krishna in material nature. And so my answer is yes, we see God through the elements. And I want to relay a nice story about one man. I was on the West Coast. I'm getting close to the end of my first walk, about 4 days left. And it's one of the few days I did not have a dhoti on. Because when you wear a dhoti and the snow is everywhere and they put salt on the roads, ruins your dhoti. So I thought, this day I cannot wear a dhoti. So I'm walking with pants and a winter coat, and someone pulls over on the East Coast. They're so friendly. So one guy, he goes, would you like a ride? And I said, no, I'm not taking any rides. I'm just finishing a walk across Canada. Really? Well, can I talk to you? And I said, sure. We can just go down by that store over there, and I'll serve you a beer. Said, I don't take that. Oh, how about a coffee? I don't take coffee either. How about a soft drink? Yeah, I'll take a soft drink. Okay. So then I walked to the place where he's parked, and this is it's a deer hunting lodge where men hunt deers, right? So I get into this place. It's like a kitchenette, and the room is about 6 men are there, and said, well, why don't you sit down and tell us a little bit about your walk across the country. We're interested. So when I did, I went to sit down, and I saw the newspaper was there. And I said, well, here I'm on the front page, see? I'm right here. So, oh yeah, that's you, all right. And I undid my hood so they could see my bald head. And I said, I'm a monk, I'm actually a monk. So, oh, well, let's sit down and let's talk now. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what it means to be a monk. And I said, well, it's a very good full life. We have discipline, but we have a lot of fun too. And part of the discipline is that we don't eat meat. And I thought, oh, why did I say that first? These are all guys eating deer, And they said, okay, then I said, well, we don't take any intoxication, and we don't gamble, and we play it low with the ladies, Like we don't have any, as a monk, you don't interact with a woman, right? So then everything went silent. And I was just wondering, what are they thinking? So the main guy that was going to give me a ride, he pulls his chair the opposite way. You know how you put your leg here and another leg there, and you lean on the back? And now I could see what he was doing. He was imagining himself as a monk. And he was going, well, I don't gamble. And I could probably do a little less with the ladies. And I could probably cut down on my meat consumption. But I can't give up my beer. So at least for a few minutes, we allowed him to be in that space of being like a sannyasi, being like a brahmachari, and so on like that. And in this way, that's what our business is, to go and help people to understand that there is another way to be. There is a way to get strong, to exercise self-discipline, And so that's the whole idea, is you got to help people with their transformations, to help people change a little bit, to help them to believe that it is possible to change. Now, so I walked across Canada, and then when I finished, it was a dreary day. It was in early December. It was raining, and I thought maybe, the Gandharvas would be out, and no media came, and it was kind of a little bit of a disappointment. So I decided that night, what's Krishna trying to tell me here? Maybe I'm supposed to turn around and do it again. So then I waited for about 5 years, and then I did it again. And then when I got to the other end, the West End, it was another dreary day, and I said, what's going on, Krishna? I mean, really, there's something not right here. So then finally, it was the third walk, and the CBC came, as Canadian Broadcasting Corporation came, the local newspaper came, and they said, Bhakti Marga Swami, he is the Forrest Gump of the Hare Krishnas. If you know what that is. Forrest Gump was a fictitious character who ran across America coast to coast, and so he was a famous guy. It's a famous movie. And then what happened was a car vintage club from Toronto drove all the way to the edge of the country, the East Coast, where there's a big lighthouse, big cliffs, and water coming like this. So these cars came and said, they came at the finish line just when I did. I thought that was such a good sign. And then there were whales out there, and they were spewing out from their blowhole. Water was coming out. There were about 3 of them, and I thought, and the sun was shining. I said, yes! So this is it. Krishna's approving of these walks. So what I get out of the walks is making a lot of friends, getting the experience from the media, and so on like that, and meeting devotees, and that need to be visited, and so on like that, and having a good workout. I want to take care of myself. I have to. And in that regard, I have so many stories to tell. It's quite unlimited. But I think maybe what we should do is leave some period for your questions. And personally, between you and me, I don't mind if I'm a little late for the meetings. Don't tell anybody, I'll just sneak in. Okay. So if anybody has any questions, then you can pose them to me right now. I hope that, I really have lots of stories to tell, and there's lots of images, and I don't know if you can get some of the slides up there. Not the film, but the slides. But does anybody have any questions? That's Prabhupada. Yay! And he's the person who inspired me, because every morning he would walk. And that's the first day when I left my temple to get ready for the first walk across Canada. Yeah, you can keep going. Keep going. That's the Pacific Ocean, and you have to touch the water and put it on your forehead and chant some mantras. And now you're in the midst of the mountains, and that's the van that I was talking about, the famous van. We would sleep there at night. We'd get up in the morning, and we'd park somewhere by a lake or a river. And a lot of times there was snow or ice, so we just have to take a bucket where there wasn't ice, and then put it on, spray it on, and immediately steam would come off. And then you'd have to run to the van and dry. It was the quickest shower you ever took in your life. Putting on tilak, making preparations. I would write about what I was doing each day, what was going on. And this is Dave, and he was a horrible cook. So I said, I'm taking over. And then Madai, who's from the UK, he came to join us a little later on. He's a happy, jolly cook who's walking in the prairies. And the wind really blows your dhoti. So I have a special dhoti I'll show you. No other sannyasis have it in the movement. Nobody. So, you know how the dhoti is just one strip of cloth? So I decided, because of this, I'm going to sew it up to about this here, and then I can at least maneuver it in. And some temples, when I go to where they do the laundry for me, they say, this is a dhoti. But for that reason. So we'll go on. And people are really, people are really attracted to monks. They really are, especially orange monks. The most common question that comes to me is, would you like a ride? Second most common question, are you Buddhist? And then it gives me a chance to talk. Well, I'm not a Buddhist. I'm from a much older tradition. There's a 65-year-old man. I was 43 at that time. Now I'm 66. Climbing bales of hay, getting on television, meeting ordinary people, kind of ordinary. This is a famous monument in Canada. We met a lot of native people as well. Sometimes you sleep, different people join us. This is a very famous place called Uncle Tom's Cabin. And when the slaves from the South in America, they came up to Canada for their freedom, they would move, walk, or run in the night. And in the daytime, they'd have to hide in the bushes. So at the end of what they called the Underground Railway line, there was this black reverend who built this house. And so there's a whole bunch of, a big black settlement of people who started a whole agricultural settlement. So that's one of my favorite places. That's the school I went to from grade 1 to 3. We had about 30 children in one room with one teacher. Can you imagine that? Primitive. Does anybody know what that is? Niagara Falls. I live near there. It's an hour and a half from there. That's the Niagara River. And we get into the newspaper. So then people see Hare Krishna, they know we're still around, and they like it because we're doing something for their country, to bring about peace. It's like a peace walk. And this is what you see, this endless tilak mark. Big skies, and this is the finish line, which is off the coast. It's not that far from the Titanic. And what happened was that the National Film Board of Canada did a documentary called The Longest Road, and they're putting it on TV every year. So we got on the front cover, and we're in there quite a bit. And it tells of the history of the longest road in the world, which is in Canada. It's called the Trans-Canada Highway, and maybe one day they call it the Transcendental Canada Highway. This is the second walk across the country, and I just finished doing the U.S. I'll tell you a funny story of one of the radio interviews that I had done. The radio interviews are really a lot of fun. They're live. So the one lady, her name is Jennifer, and I was talking to her, I said, Jennifer, I was just at a studio yesterday, a radio, and they interviewed me there. And they were playing country western music. What kind of music do you play on your station? And she said, we play pop music. I said, pop, yeah. Well, pop in Sanskrit means sin, And so then she said, okay, Swami, get the microphone. We're on. Okay, so, all right, listeners out there, we have a very special surprise for you. We have a very special guest here right at the studio, and he's known as the Walking Monk, and his name is, let me try to say it, it's in, what's that language again? Sanskrit. Okay, Bhakti Marga Swami. And I said, perfect, Jenny, it's perfect. Okay, so then she said, and we just had a little conversation with the Swami, and he asked me what kind of music we play. And I said, it's pop music. And he said, pop means sin. And that's why we have the Swami on the show, to deal with our sins. So, this is another waterfalls. These are other people that supported me, that were my backup team. And you just always, I love to stop at bridges when the river goes, sometimes we need to stop. People you meet along the way. Continue. Yeah. This is a dead moose. I was talking to you about the fatalities. You know, the millions of animals that are killed every day by cars and trucks. It's really bad. There's a term for that called roadkill. And that's a small baby cougar. We have cougars in Canada, we have antelope, we have all kinds of mountain lions, and I love the wildlife. In fact, one day I asked Krishna, you know, it's the third walk I'm doing across Canada, and I haven't seen any bears at all. Can you come in the form of a bear? And so he did, a grizzly. They're bigger than the other one I was telling you about. And then after that I said, okay, Krishna, I get the message. You got to watch what you pray for. And this is where we grow a lot of wheat. A lot of our wheat was shipped to India for many decades and goes all over the world. Now things have changed, and we have canola. We grow a lot of canola now. And you take naps. You have to, when you're tired, you have to, wherever, anywhere and everywhere. Doesn't matter. You're tired, you are tired, and you just lie down anywhere. It's so nice because you feel so free, you know? You feel so free. And this is the famous bison or buffalo that we have in Canada. They're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. And the wheat fields. Go on. Who's doing it? You? Okay. So I go through 4 seasons of walking, and this is the late summer. This is another one of my support persons. I made friends. This is also, he's actually a monk, a hermit, who lives in his own place by the river, and someone took me there, and this is what you do, you meet people. And this fellow pulled over and he said, hey, I was just listening on the radio about Deepak Chopra, and now here you are. He related me to Deepak Chopra, whatever. Okay. Standing by a bridge. You can move it a little faster. So does anybody have any questions? Because we're getting to the tail end. Yes.
Maharaja, I wanted to know that from what you get inspiration, from what source you get inspiration to walk so long. Like it's almost impossible for us to imagine even to walk so much, like 4 seasons.
Right. What was the inspiration? Well, Prabhupada, I wanted to do something for him. And I believe that if you do something, like if you walk across the country, you become a little bit of a hero, and then people take you seriously. Otherwise, they just think that you're there to change our religion, you know? But when you say, I'm walking, and I'm doing this for you and for the country, so that we can all get into walking again, and we can be more healthy people, and it'll bring down our medical bills, you know, for all those reasons, you know, and to get to the spiritual side of life. I have the opportunity to now meet people, right? And if I go on a plane or a car, people don't take you seriously. But you're right out there in the open, and then they think, oh yeah, here's the real true blue person, you know. Let me talk to him, you know. It's a little bear. That's the first picture I took on my phone. Believe it or not. Any other questions? Okay, so who's going to be the first person to walk across India then? Nobody? Oh, I must tell you a story. When I was walking across America near Boston, it was a hot day in September, so myself and another Prabhu, we decided let's go for a swim. So before we went for a swim, we saw this beautiful shining object, and it was a Ganesh. I said, here in Massachusetts, USA, Ganesh is down at the bottom of the lake. There's like clear water. So the brahmacharis were with me. What should we do, Maharaj? And they said, pull him out, dry him up, put him in the back seat, and he'll be a passenger. And he'll remove obstacles on the path of bhakti. We also met different religious groups. This is an interview with a newspaper guy. He was very nice. In fact, he was telling me, this was a big newspaper place, 2 levels of reporters, and he said, almost everybody here is an atheist, so I'm so glad to meet you guys so we can talk about God. He was so relieved. This is another one of our support guys. Now let's go back to that other guy. So this is a fellow, his name is Trayvon, and he's from Hartford, Connecticut. And he came to visit our temple for the first time in Hartford, Connecticut. It was Radhastami. And he heard me talking about my walking. And he was sitting there like this. After the talk, I said, I want to go with you. And I said, well, you and I were just talking for a few minutes, and you said, you have a girlfriend. I said, I'll talk to her. And then I said, well, didn't you tell me you were living with your mother? What's she going to say if you travel with like a monk for such a long time? I said, I'll talk to her too. I said, you also mentioned to me that you're a top salesman in a men's clothing store. Don't worry, I'll get a leave of absence. I want to go with you. So we decided he looks like Bob Marley a little bit, and he does rap. So we got, every day that we were walking together, the police came. And the police came because, again, I'm in orange, and I look like I'm an escapee from a prison wearing orange. And he looks like a drug dealer. So I love the guy. He was rapping a lot, and it's just like rapping on the road, and I didn't care. One time I was so tired, it was on Sunday afternoon, and I was lying down next to a highway. There was nowhere else to. And he was sitting there, and people were stopping and pulling over. They thought maybe I got poisoned by him, People have interesting perceptions, But he's such a nice guy. And we used to have a saying, people ask sometimes, when you have to go, when you have to go, like to pass, where do you go? People ask like that. We just go to the cornfield. And that became an ongoing expression, Didn't matter where you were. Maharaj, I just got to go to the cornfield right now. And then that's an expression. So he was a good support man, and he learned a lot of Sanskrit. He learned a lot about Krishna consciousness. Let's go on to the next. Now, one Sunday morning in New Jersey, this is in America, not Canada, myself and Trayvon and Mandala, we were walking, chanting on our beads, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then there's a group of people walking on the other side of the road, go, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee, blessed are thou amongst women. They were saying, they were Catholics, and they were praying. So we were looking at each other, what are you doing here? Says, what are you doing here? We're praying, so are we. And it was one of the women who said at the end, she said that, Well, anyways, after all, it's all the same God anyways. So we left on that note. So happy to see other people walking and praying for the betterment of the world, for ultimate wellness. So nice to see that. Good. This is somewhere in Ohio. And yeah, other images again. This is one of the Great Lakes, Lake Erie. Isn't that beautiful? Sunrise. Next one too. Beautiful. It was just like that. No coloration. And we met police officers. These are American police officers. So, I told one officer, well, you're a warrior, right? So no one ever called me a warrior before. Well, that's what you are. You're a Kshatriya in our tradition. You're there to protect people, right? I said, yeah, I guess I am. This is a cathedral we went to. It's a part of a university in, where was it? I think it's Ohio as well. Now, I also learned a lot about the wild things you can eat in the forest. So these are cattails, and if you eat the bottom, you pull them out of the reeds, and you get the sort of soft, cream-colored whitish ones. So you bite that, it's just like a cucumber. It grows wild everywhere. And in fact, we got cooking like sabjis with wild vegetables, and I was learning how to do those things. It was great. It's wonderful. I love it out there. These are some brahmacharis from the Chicago temple. And there's some old, what do you call them? It's not a ravine. It's, help me. Canal. It's a canal, old canals that are no longer being used. So we found that this was a place to go. This is another one of my support people. I thought this is my favorite photograph I've ever taken. Keep walking. People give you gifts. Bergosi gave me this t-shirt. Keep walking. All right, it was raining. I had to get out of the rain. I was wet. Somebody gave me an orange watch. Another person gave me an orange sunglasses, so I just had to wear them. Another reporter. This is in America. And he told me about this, it's called the Great Divide. There's a place in America where you go at the top of a mountain range, a peak. And he said that this is like a unique watershed. So that means, he told me, he said, if you pee here, half of your pee will go to the Pacific Ocean, and the other half will go to the Atlantic Ocean. So they call it the Great Divide. So this is Utah. This is where the Mormons live. Many people of Seventh-day Adventists background. This is a badger, another roadkill episode. I've never seen a badger before. Have you ever studied honey badgers? No? Honey badgers? You have them in India and Africa. Oh, they're vicious. So can anybody see where I am? Right. So this is when you get into the desert. Nice thing about the desert, this isn't actual real desert. You have to go further down the road. But there's no mosquitoes. Yay! Yes, that was one of the radio interviews that we did. Okay. On one of the radio shows, it was an early morning show, and there's a man and a woman who were the hosts. Okay, today is the birthday of blah, 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 some celebrity, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And then I was to come and said, by the way, I was listening to your show just before I got in, and I just want to let you know today's the birthday of Krishna. It's called Janmashtami. He said, oh yes, Krishna, who spoke to the warrior Arjuna and helped him out of his depression. So people know. In the West, they're starting to know about who is Krishna, who is Arjuna. Yeah. I'm chanting Gayatri on the road. Don't worry. I didn't turn into a pizza. It was a quiet road. Beautiful sunrises and sunsets. Isn't it nice and dreamy? I guess one of the most amazing experiences I have was in Canada. You have something called the Northern Lights. And in the summertime, you can see, do you know, have you ever heard of it before? It's Borealis, something. So it's nighttime. And oh yes, we did mud baths. But the sky turns green and pink, and then the loons are crying, and it's just like Viratrup. It's just amazing. You feel very humbled. Krishna, thank you for letting me have this experience. One guy we found also walked across the U.S., and he was having a baby. This was my support team last summer. And we did some wonderful videos. It's on Instagram, little theatrical things. I said, okay guys, it's your 1 hour creative hour. Do something nice. Here's an expression, what to do? What to do? When you don't know what to do, it always feels good if you just say, what to do? Just try it out. 1, 2, 3, go. What to do? Probably you have to put your hands out, you know, like 1, 2, 3, go. What to do? And it's got a little bit of this, right? We spoke of the Lions Club. And so many opportunities, doors open to you for speaking engagements. This is the desert, and 2 young devotee children came with me. Their great-grandmother was nearby. I also had like native people that came and they do like this some like blessings and, you know, may the Great Spirit, they'll talk like this, may the Great Spirit protect your feet and protect your legs from the north and the south and the east and the west. And we did a dog blessing. Like people have these dogs that were maimed, and they purchased the dogs that were abused, and they take care of them. So one lady, she met me, oh, I think it's great what you're doing. She was crying. But I'm part of an organization that with people that save dogs, and can you do a dog blessing for us? I said, I have never done it before, but I'm sure we can try it out. So we went to a park and we got a RT tully together, and then the dogs were kind of lined up with their masters behind them, and then I was doing, the conch was being blown and the dogs are going like this, and then I'm waving the incense and they're going, and then the same thing with all the other articles, and then the chamara. They were so relaxed, and all the owners were saying, it was magical what you did. And then I spoke a little bit, Vidya Vinaya Sampane, Brahmane Gavahashini, Shuni Chaiva Swapagecha, Pandita Samadarishina. And that was about, that we're all equal, right? Dogs, dog eaters, Brahmins, cows, elephants, we're all the same. Here we're in a tree. And we had some engagements with children as well. They were wild. And months later, after I did this is called Jackson, California, I got people writing to me after that, hey, walking monk. I was in India, and one man from Ohio, hey, I'd like to speak to the walking monk. And he called me on this phone. Is it, you're the walking monk? Yeah, I'm the walking monk. Yeah, well, how are you doing? And they said, well, I'm in India, right? You're in India? And so you make friends, And this is a Nuttama Prabhu. He joined me for 4 days of the walk across the U.S. when we were in California. And that's Guru Das, one of Prabhupada's first disciples on the West Coast, and my support team. And we were at Stowe Lake, where Prabhupada used to go on japa walks in San Francisco. At San Francisco, the second last day of the walk. And I think we're close to the end now. Golden Gate Bridge, famous bridge. Many things happened there. Some people were... There's the Golden Gate. And the Bhakti magazine, last issue from America, did a whole article about the walk across the U.S. Yeah. Okay. What else? Next. I'm sitting on a fire hydrant. This is the last day. And I walked on the same route of the first Rath Yatra in America, in the Western world. Same route. Those final blocks in San Francisco. That was the route that we took to walk. Okay. And then a day later, we spoke to a group of martial artists. And we always do a goofy shot, Can't always be serious, right? Is it true? You can't always be too serious. You have to be weird once in a while, right? And then somebody surprised me on my birthday last year. They put out a book, for a children's book called The Walking Monk. And it was written in rhymes for kids 6 to 10 years of age. This is one of the better pictures, and Chicago Tribune did it. When the big newspaper does an article, I think it's just great. And this is one of the moose we met. Hi, Mr. Moose. How's it going? Oh, yeah, we got lost. Anuttama and I got lost. Okay. Yay. Yes, some more question? Send, you have to do it like dreamy, like a spaceship. Yeah, come on.
Hi Vishnu Maharaj, thank you for very inspiring through your beautiful pictures as well as the talk. Maharaj, my question was you walked across US. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita this statement comes, how Pratviti Yachi Yachi Nagar Adigram Sarvatra Prachar Hoy Morana. So this gives us the guidelines for all ISKCON devotees, that how our target is that Krishna consciousness should go in each and every village and each and every town.
Yes.
So now, but sometimes I get discouraged when I hear when Prabhupada was there was a lot of preaching going on in the Western countries.
Yes.
But somehow it have got reduced. So when you walked across these places, what you felt, what is the chances of Krishna consciousness being established in each and every town and each and every village?
I think the chances are very good for Krishna consciousness to expand in the West, because there's yoga studios in every town now, practically, And a lot of people are vegetarian and vegan now, and they're willing to be open and listen to your ideas, No longer are we weird or strange, In fact, you're kind of cool if you're a monk, and especially if they think you're Buddhist. Oh, you're a Buddhist? Yeah, I know a little bit of Buddhist. I try to tell them, well, I'm into the Krishna thing, Said, yeah, I was thinking about going to Tibet. No, I'm a Hare Krishna monk. Oh, yeah, I like the Dalai Lama. No. So, the groundwork is laid. People are much more enthusiastic now than ever before. But what I would say is, in the early days, people were eager to be part of an organization. Now it's less of an issue, let's say it is a big issue, that people are not so keen to join an organized religion because they've heard of so much abusiveness, child abuse, and so many other things by Christians and so many other, and Islamic image is not very good. It's very aggressive, So that's why people are not so keen to be part of a religious organization in the West. But they're willing to be your good friend. You see, we can win people over by our kindness, by our friendship. It's not so much by putting a Bhagavad Gita in their face. How to surrender to Krishna or you go to hell. It's not like that. The approach has to be one with love and softness and kindness. They want to see, oh, you're a real gentleman, You're a real caring soul. And on that basis, they'll get involved. But they're a little cautious now about being a member of a religious institution. On the other hand, in the West, we have a lot of people that moving in from India, and their children are the brightest kids on the planet. They don't identify so much as Indian, even though they have the brown skin. They identify more as being American or Canadian, a little bit more. And they keep a lot of the values that are very much from India. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I think that the West has a good chance where there's a lot of Hindu diaspora. There's a big spread of Hinduism going all over the world and in the developed countries. So through that avenue, it's good. And also Western boys and girls, they're a little bit lost, They're a little bit, they don't have a good sense of family. That's become lost. And we have to watch out. Our Indian community is losing a grip on that too. Family and community is so important to make you a whole person, And so in the West, I'd say about 2 generations now of, there's people who are not very connected to their parents, and so they're a little bit lost in the world. So when we can make them our friends, they have a chance now. Mind you, if we don't speak about strong family values, they'll also do like their parents did and not be serious to, once they get married, and most of you will get married, I assume, then, to keep those strong family values, it's very important. And so we have to talk about those things. We have to believe in it and follow through and be good role models in society. I mean, it doesn't mean that much to be a married person, but if you're a Krishna conscious married person, then it means a lot. So I think Krishna consciousness has a good chance in the West because we produce good food. One thing, good food, good music, good philosophy, and very friendly people. Those 4 things win people over. So in our devotees in the West, we have to make some adjustments in the way we talk. Like you can't say the word preach. Sometimes you can't say the word God. You have to say the divine. You can't say demons. You can't say sin. You have to make it very newcomer friendly. As soon as you make everything paint a
Each and every town.
yeah, so it's slowly happening. It's slowly happening. There's Krishna consciousness all over the place. I've walked across America, Canada, and I'm seeing people they go out of the blue anywhere. Haribol! I'm walking in the middle of a desert, and there's a trucker, and he stops right in the middle of the highway. It's a quiet highway. Said, Haribol! He's like a white guy, I said, okay, we're everywhere. So it is happening. But we have to just tackle America, Canada, West Europe with, different techniques. Restaurants are good. Western people aren't that interested in temples. Deities don't mean much to them. Deities don't mean much. It scares some of them. But they are very attracted to prasadam, kirtan, philosophy, and your love, your friendship. Any other questions? Please give me a reason not to go there in the meetings. Yes.
Maharaj, what is the secret of your blissfulness?
What is it?
What is the secret of your blissfulness, ma'am, Maharaj?
The significance of?
Secret.
The secret of blissfulness.
Devotees are so inspired to see that.
Well, when I see people like you reciprocate so nicely. So wherever I go, I just have a lot of fun. Like Prabhupada, he was always happy, because there's two ways to be in life. You know what they are? Either you're upbeat or you're beat up. So there's no point in being beat up or looking like that. Like this. But being upbeat, like it works. I think if I have a little bit of it, I got it from my father. He was a jolly man. And of course we learned that from Prabhupada. He had many reasons to say, I'm leaving the West, too much trouble, this guy stole $10,000, this guy left, I'm going back. He could have done that, but he was upbeat. No, he made progress. And he built up on that progress. He didn't dwell on what's negative. Like the first time I walked across Canada, I saw my English teacher from high school. Her name was Mrs. Dietrich. Says, John, she goes like this. That was my name before, because I was in the front page of the newspaper. So she saw me, and we had a nice chat. And we ended up on the note that you have to count your blessings. Every day you have to take note of all the good things that happen to you. And I'll tell you another quick story. I was in a place called London, Ontario, and I got connected to a Sharma family. And we ate there. We had a nice vegetarian meal. And I could see there was something wrong, not quite right with Mrs. Sharma. She looked very depressed. So Mr. Sharma said, Swamiji, can you please speak to my missus here? She's a little depressed and she needs to talk to someone. You are Swamiji, maybe you can help. What to do? So then I talked to her. The three of us were sitting there. I said, okay, let's make a list. Okay. So you're from India, right? She said, yes, I am. Do you like the country that you came from? Yes. Okay, we'll put a check mark there. Okay. You now live in Canada. Do you like the country of Canada? Yes. Okay. Now you have children. Yes, I have 2 children. Are they children to be proud of? Are they healthy and strong? So, yes. Check marks like this. And we just kind of went down the list, and it was so overwhelmingly positive, her karma, that she was like this. This is fun. She just broke into she burst out enjoying and just reminding yourself of the good things that happen to you. Don't think about what's negative. Everyone has negativity. You have to put it behind you. Goodbye. Don't want to see you again. But sometimes it's good to visit the past. Think, oh yes, I went through this difficult time, but I'm not there now. So I can be grateful. And you have to develop that attitude of gratitude. So the secret to being blissful is stacking up all the good things that happen to you. Associate with blissful people. Look at your deities. What do? Take some prasad, and what else do you want? You know? And you know, yesterday, myself and 3 devotees, we went to Dhruva's birthplace. I said, it can be very depressing. Totally depressing. Because of all the garbage everywhere. But I thought, hey, if I go there again, I'll bring a garbage bag and I'll pick it up. It's like an opportunity. So if something's negative, flip it. You know, have you ever seen like those alligators? They're on their backs and they go like this, you know, and they're struggling. So flip them and then they can go. Does that answer the question? Okay.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah. How did I come to Krishna consciousness? Well, I was a young fellow. I have 5 siblings. We were raised on a farm in southwestern Ontario. And so my parents moved to Canada after the war in Europe. So they went through the Depression and they went through the war. So for them, life should be simple, but plenty at the same time. Don't waste, because anybody who came from that time, they were like of that mindset. Don't waste. We waste with our food and with our cups and things. We waste. So anyways, with that kind of a background, and I was raised Catholic, and I used to go to church before I went to school, just because I liked it there. It was peaceful. And I liked everything Jesus stood for. And then what happened was a revolution came in the 60s. And, let your hair go out, let your nails, just be kind of like a wild person, be free, right? Many people were not happy, of my generation, with what their parents were doing. They just go out working hard, being sad, and building an empire, but not being happy. So we were thinking, and then there was the Vietnam War. This is more impactful in America than Canada. The Canadians didn't go to the war. But it really caused a generation to think about what they're going to do with themselves. So I was part of that. And in 1965, I think, or 64, the Beatles came, and they took the whole world by a storm, the Beatles. And their first music was a little bit like, she loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to hold your hand. It's like cheesy stuff. But then they went to India, and they smoked some ganja. That's not what we're supposed to do, right? But they came back with new music, deeper material. And George Harrison himself loved Krishna, and the other boys too. They were thinking about the Krishna thing. And whatever the Beatles did, whatever they dressed, however their music was outstanding, still is. To measure it today, their music is amazing. The older stuff. And so we listened to them. And so because they went to India, they picked up Sanskrit terminologies. They were playing sitar music now and said, wow, let us see what's happening with India. What is that place that has been ignored? Because in our history books, we learn about England, America, and Canada. India, 1 page. China, 1 page. You don't hear about these older ancient cultures and what they have to offer. So now for the first time in the world, the West is taking incredible interest in the East. And the East, of course, is taking interest in the West, which is maybe not the best, but so I was part of that generation. And while I was in contemplation, I met some Krishna devotees, and through the literature, and slowly, gradually, I started chanting and so on like that. And I sent a letter. We didn't have this in those days, sending things out. We didn't have this. And it's gone. You have to write a letter. So I wrote a letter to the devotees in Toronto, and I said, what is the purpose of Maya? You know what the answer was? The purpose of Maya is to protect Krishna from those who are not sincere. To protect Krishna from those who are not sincere. So you have to be sincere. You have to give up the sin and be sincere. Right? And so then I just tried a weekend at the temple, and I decided, I really like this. And I was a student. I was a good student in fine arts, painting, sculpture, and I decided this was more important for me. I had 1 month finished my first year, so I decided, no, I've got to be with the devotees. That's where I belong. And I came with my stuff, went through the door, and I never left. And I am glad I didn't leave. Hare Krishna. So there. Any other questions? Yes.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, can you tell about some interaction with Prabhupada?
Tell about which?
Some interactions with Prabhupada.
Reflections, you said?
Interactions.
Attractions of Prabhupada. Well, I already mentioned that he was always upbeat and he wouldn't let himself be down. And his determination meant a lot to me. Like, we know Dhruva, the young 5-year-old boy, he was very determined. Prabhupada was very determined. Like, I'm 66. I just turned 66 last week. And soon I'll be at the age from when he came. And, he had a lot of physical difficulties. But he was very, very determined. And if he was not, he would not have been successful. So I think that's a great quality that Prabhupada shared. And I think for me, because I was a shy guy, I never talked to Prabhupada. I only heard Prabhupada through his devotees. And I always understood that to get Prabhupada's mercy, you have to work with the devotees. And if you think that it's better to be with Prabhupada directly, then maybe you're missing out on something. It's better to get along on this level, and that's what he asked for, collaboration, cooperation. Then you will feel his mercy. You will get it. You will. But I did hear Prabhupada say a few things. I was in Chicago, and devotees were walking with Prabhupada. There were about 4 sannyasis and others around him. And we were walking along Lake Michigan in the park. It was a nice sunny day. And a cyclist came and he stopped. He stopped in front of me. That's how I remember it so well. He said, "Excuse me," and Prabhupada stopped, and so did all the other devotees. And Prabhupada said, "Yes." Yes. And he said, "Could you tell me why some of you carry the sticks and others don't carry the sticks?" Meaning the sannyasa, the danda. And Prabhupada goes to Brahmananda, "What did he say?" And then Brahmananda said, he wants to know why we carry the stick, Prabhupada, why the danda? And Prabhupada said, "Tell him we use the sticks to shoo away the dogs." So the fellow who was right in front of me, he said, ask a stupid question and you get a stupid answer. And I said, it wasn't a stupid question and it wasn't a bad answer. Don't worry. Like that. I remember. And then we were also in Chicago. It was another morning. And devotees were talking to Prabhupada about some of the, the traditional roles of female versus male roles and things like that. And the conversation went on. We came to the end of the park. And Vishaka, who's, Yadabar's wife, just all the photography, such a nice soul, great saintly lady. And she just said, Prabhupada, can we take a picture of you here now? I said, yes, okay. So Prabhupada stood there, and there was a nice backdrop there, and like some trees and rocks and so on and so forth. And then Brahmananda came, and he said, Prabhupada, can you stand like this a little bit? Okay. And then the other devotee came and fixed his chadar a little bit with the folds, And then another devotee came, like 3 or 4 people were fussing around with him. And he said, Prabhupada just, no, I will stay like this. And he said, you cannot satisfy all of the people all of the time. So, and this is really quite profound. When you have to make decisions, you are not going to make everybody happy. Just have to go forward and carry on with what you have to do. You have to do your dharma, right? On the first walk I did, there was one woman, she pulled over and said, would you like a ride? And I said, well, I'm not taking any rides because I'm walking across Canada. I said, oh, well, why are you walking across Canada? I said, I'm walking across Canada to promote dharma. What's that? I said, dharma means obligation, duty, getting back to basics, getting back to the simple things in life. So what she did was she kind of just grabbed my hand here, put her head down, traffic is zooming by, and she went silent. And I also didn't say anything, because I know she was kind of in a prayer, in a meditation. I just wanted her to have her time, but somehow or other that word dharma meant a lot for her, And then finally she broke away. I wish you the very best on your walk. And then she went on her way. So we simply have to do our dharma, and then we will be protected from bad karma. And whatever is your name, it could be Sharma. Good. Any other questions? I don't know if you have got other things that you're supposed to do, but I'm enjoying it here. Yes.
Hari Maharaja. Maharaja, we all are quite young, but you have walked across many places. I just wanted to ask, kind of realization you got which made you more convinced about the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, the kind of interaction you had with the few of that you have shared with us.
So when I didn't hear everything, there's a big echo here, but you're saying I walked through many towns and...
So, you would have got some realizations and convictions.
Realizations and convictions,
which
yes.
made you completely convinced about the philosophy of Krishna consciousness.
Through the walking, you mean?
Through the walking and the overall your
Just
life,
overall.
your life you have lived. Because many of us are very young, and many times it so happened with us, we have entered into Krishna consciousness, but many times the changes and the kind of circumstances come in our life. Many of us get diverted in our Krishna consciousness. Some of us leave also, and then they go away, and some of us are not able to practice to that kind of caliber. So the kind of realization and conviction you can share with us. So
realizations. Realizations. I touched on it already. I believe that you have to see that whatever's coming your way, it's pretty much Krishna's mercy. And you have to see it as such, instead of putting on the blame game on somebody else. Take a humble position and see that Krishna's got his hand in everything. And just like the weather, you accept whatever weather comes of its own accord. So whatever comes your way, you say, okay, Krishna, this is the challenge I have today. Thank you very much. It'll make me stronger. It will help me build character. If I have everything my way, I would just be a mess. But I know I will become a strong individual when I do what you have delivered to me. Is that okay?
I want to just addition to this was like when some people walk for the purpose of some peace or something like Gandhi walked for some kind of independence movement. But how you saw your walk different from these people who were gone for patriotism or independence of the country or other things? They also did austerities walking for other causes. But how you see your walk, that was for the best thing.
Okay, I caught most of what you said, but I believe the whole idea is that we have to simplify our life. We have to downscale it. And when you travel, you have to travel light. And simplicity is basically the foundation to happiness. It's not what you acquiesce. It's not what you obtain or purchase in great numbers. It's really, and you be content with what you have. We don't need a lot to be happy. How many chapatis do you need in one day? How much khichdi? And a little bit of nimbu pani, a little sugar to add on top. We don't need much. And walking like that forces the simplicity out of you. It brings out the best in the individual. It makes you see, I am small, the sky is big, the sun is strong, the wind is strong. I am just a little speck. That's what I am. And I can be in the city, I can be in Mumbai, and I can be a big shot. I can have the latest hairstyle, with a beard cut in a certain way, I can have my girlfriend with me, and I can be on the top of the world, and I think that I've got everything, until she gives me a slap and said, that's it, I'm finished with you. So, the connection with Krishna is important. And I think it's good for all of you to have a simple time in your life where you're a monk. As I said, I know some of you are going to get married, some of you will stay single, but the point is that enjoy it while you are single and just breathe in all that Krishna consciousness as much as possible. And then you apply it later on in life. And the beautiful thing about Grihastha life is that, you hear that child, those kids are crying over there? When people have children, you have to sacrifice so much for them. You learn how to be humble and humility. And when you have to change the diaper, you are very humbled. So these are the stages of life that you go through. It's good all the way through, every bit of it. But before you settle down, you must build up your Krishna conscious bank account. You have to make it strong. The sadhana has to be strong. Your belief has to be firm. Okay. So I've got a question here by a mystery guest. What is inspiration to practice Krishna consciousness? Is that the question? What is the inspiration that makes you? The inspiration is Shravanam Kirtayam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Nasyapyam Sakyamatma Nivedanam. Do you want to do it again? 1, 2, 3, go. Snap it out. 1, 2, 3, go. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyama Vedanam. So those are the 9 processes. One thing we do is, when I go to speaking engagements, even during the walk, I'll do these like a little seminar, workshop, 9 devotions workshop. So we could elaborate on that, but I think I'll leave it for now. And I think it's now 4 o'clock. Thank you so much for all the questions and all the time that you've given me, and I really appreciate it. Please remember one thing. If you look like Mr. Grumps, come down, ski slope, off of the nose, land on the lips, stretch your face. Haribol! Haribol! Srila Prabhupada ki!